Okay, welcome back to the Light Skinema podcast. This is episode 8. Where today is a little bit just lighter episode, but for me and Jathan, we're each going to be doing our top 10 horror films list that we both created. Obviously, this episode we're recording it kind of a couple weeks in advance, but this will be the first episode for October for us. This month we want to do a couple horror related episodes, and I feel like this is a good, easy one to kick us off with, so you can kind of see both of our taste in the genre. But before we get into the list, Shaitan, is there anything about horror films in particular that you want to mention? Anything about, this time of year that you like watching? Anything that's not included in your list?
There are a lot of classics that I left off of here, such as Alien, and that is because I like to, when I'm reviewing movies on my letterbox and on my podcast, like there's certain films that I don't have marked watched. One of them, for instance, is The Dark Knight Rises. Like that movie, I vividly remember watching, but it's just been so long, or maybe I'd want to tackle it one day on Letterboxd or on here. So,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say these are definitive in my rankings, but this is more like stuff that I've been watching that like really I know is like top tier in terms of my opinion for it. So don't take it too seriously, but there's some fun picks in here. We're gonna get into it pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really get much to add. Just that horror is a genre that has really been new to me over the past couple of years. I wasn't a big fan of it as a kid because I used to just get really scared of stuff. But I will say the two things that really got me into horror is actually they kind of both included in the list in some aspect is It from 2017. I saw it in theaters as a kid. We were both in seventh grade, but I was super excited to see that. It really scared me, but that was one early horror film that I really loved, and just Jordan Peele as a whole. I think his kind of his storytelling and what he's done with horror films has been phenomenal, and you know he really has made me look at horror in a new way. So I just wanted to shout out those couple things, but I'm ready to get into the list if you're ready.
Let's do this. Okay.
Okay, go for it. Yep.
Number 10 on Jathan's horror list, The Purge. I know this is a film you haven't seen, Nick, and that really surprised me because I feel
Is it
like,
the first one?
yeah, very first one.
I've seen it, but I think what you just said about The Dark Knight Rises is me with The Purge.
Okay,
I've seen it.
gotcha.
I've seen it, but I couldn't tell you I couldn't even tell you who was in it. Honestly.
Honestly, me neither, but I just remember the plot, and I remember, like, dude, my friends would deadass, like, reenact The Purge, like, at our friends' houses. Like, we would just start shooting each other with, like, water guns, or, like, we'd be up in costume, too. Like, we'd be, like, dressed as the killers, and it was
I did the same
hilarious.
thing.
Yeah, see, like, it
That's
was
like that's a
such. I feel like it was so relevant for Gen Z when it came out. It was like the first Gen Z film, like how they have, I guess, Gen Alpha films now. But yeah, number 10 is The Purge.
Mhm. And we're gonna be going back and forth on the list for everybody watching and listening. So don't get confused if we're going back and forth. But number 10 for me, I just mentioned it, but It from 2017. Um, there are horror films out here that I do have at, but how I kind of went about my list is, when I think of the word horror, when I think of horror films, what are the 10 that come to mind? Um, and It is one of them. I think what Bill Skarsgård did here is fantastic. He scared the shit out of me as a kid. I couldn't really fall asleep for 2 weeks after watching this movie in theaters, but um, I've seen it
Wow.
maybe. I couldn't. I was scared, dude. I was scared. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, I, I think I've seen this film maybe two or three more times since I saw it in theaters originally. I still really love it. I think there are some problems with it, but I think it's a really good movie. I keep saying it's a really good movie. Um, Sinners, like from this year, I think is a great horror movie, but Sinners to me is so much more than horror. So like that's not included on my list, but you know, there's room for a lot of other great stuff on here, but yeah, number 10 for me is it.
Solid pick. Number 9, I'm gonna go with Perfect Blue.
That's a good pick.
It's just like really creepy and unsettling, and I love the atmosphere. I love what they kind of do here with this character who's under fame, and it's really interesting. The animation's really good too.
That movie's unsettling. I think kind of that stalker element to the film is I don't know. It was really unsettling. I saw it maybe 2 years ago now, but yeah, that film's kind of scary. Um, for me, number 9 is The Invisible Man. I couldn't do this list without doing a classic Universal monster. The Invisible Man is my favorite. It's kind of a toss up between The Invisible Man or the Frankenstein. They're both very close for me, but I gave the edge to The Invisible Man because I think it's one of the best villain performances that doesn't get talked about. Obviously, the film came out in 1933, so almost 100 years ago. So of course, most people have not seen it. But I think if you're a horror fan, if you're a true film fan, watch this movie. I know Jathan, you watched it recently and you seem to really enjoy it. So I think it's definitely worth watching, and it's quick. It's like 70 minutes, so there's really no excuse. It's a fun time.
It's pretty goofy, and what I like about it is that I think it pairs up nicely when you realize like the not technical limitations that they had, but like the dated filmmaking, and I think it's
Yeah.
just really just a fun time.
But I think it still holds up pretty well for almost 100 years old, though. Like, it's not perfect, but I think it still does a decent job.
For sure. Number 8, I have The Ring. And this is something that I watched pretty recently, and it's just very fun, very nostalgic. Um, the jump scares are really unsettling. The imagery is just like very intricate. Like, it's very shocking to me, and it just reminds me of early YouTube
Yeah.
and creepy
I feel like this was a
pastas.
I feel like this was a big movie with our generation too. I never saw it. I still haven't seen it because I was so scared. But I feel like this movie really got popular with kids around our age, maybe a little bit older. But I remember this being just like all over the internet for a long time.
For sure.
Number 8 for me, and I think this film, I've only seen it once, but this year I plan on rewatching it, and I think it has a good chance of eventually going higher on this list. But is Rosemary's Baby. Um, if you're watching this episode, if you saw our last week episode, which we actually just recorded, but we talked about a little bit in the movie Him that just came out. It's kind of a religion cult. Rosemary's Baby is very much that, but I think they do it perfect. Normally, I'm not a fan of that type of stuff. I think Mia Favreau, Mia Favreau. I think her performance in this is flawless. I don't know if she got Oscar nominated, but I think she should have. I think this film is just perfect in every sense of the word. I love it, and it definitely. I feel like it's a movie that everybody is aware of the title of it, but maybe not a lot of people have seen it. So I do really recommend.
It's definitely on my watch list. Um, Number 7, I have Get Out, and I think it was such a huge film at the time, contemporary, and you have great performances all around, and I just love going back to it every Halloween. It's so rewatchable.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you have a? I might have been. It might. Maybe it's been a while since you rewatched it, but do you have a favorite moment or scene in that? 'Cause I have one that sticks out to me every time that makes me die laughing.
Not any particular that like comes to mind right now, but
I love I always forget his name, but I love when at the end of the film I forget his name in real life, but he's like um I'm TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. like at the end of the movie when it comes in to save um, Daniel Kaluuya's character. I love that scene. But yeah, Get Out is just another great film for our generation that I didn't watch till I got a little bit older because I was scared, but that film was massive. Um, Great movie.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's had
Go.
huge momentum as a filmmaker ever since. Like
Yeah,
he's so big now. Like he used to be a comedian.
yeah. Jordan Peele is a big inspiration for me. Um, Number seven for myself is Alien, the original. I think it's amazing. I think upon a rewatch, it'll probably go up in my rating as well. Um, maybe when people think horror, they don't think of Alien because it's more leans into the sci-fi elements and more of a thriller, but it definitely still is the horror genre. There's definitely jump scares, crazy moments, and I think just what Ridley Scott did is so great. And what I love about Ridley Scott is he's a practical filmmaker. He tries to do everything as practical as it can possibly be, and Christopher Nolan has kind of adopted that mindset as well. Christopher Nolan has always mentioned that Ridley Scott is a big inspiration for his. So, Alien, it's a great movie. It's really the only one in the franchise I say I would love. I do like some of them a little bit, but I mean this is a topic for another day. But I do think the Alien franchise has gone on. But the first one to me is perfect. I love it.
That's one movie that I have not marked down, but I need to see.
Mhm.
Six Eye Possession. And that's something that I think we're going to talk about later in another episode, but
Yeah.
just to be brief, um, there's like a severe lack of emotion. There's like this air that like is really unsettling. And I think that this is some really heavy lifting. And one movie that I want to talk about later is kind of going to have the same vibe to it. So,
hmm
but that's Possession. I know you haven't seen it yet, and you're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, very much. I'm excited to watch it, and I'm excited to, Jathan just hinted to it, to talk about it in a later episode in more detail. Number six for me is Get Out. Jathan just mentioned it. Obviously, Jordan Peele is great. Daniel Kaluuya. Um, this is at number six and above. I have all at 5 stars. The only reason why I have this number six in terms of top 10 horror films because this is more psychological horror. All the other films I have more of the quote unquote monster for the horror or like kind of more Halloweenish horror. I feel like this is a film you can watch any time of year, but obviously it is a horror film. I had to include it in the list. I give it a 5 out of 5. Perfect. Watch it.
At number five, I have The Lighthouse. In my letterbox top four, uh, I just love the acting, the lack of colors, the way that the film looks is so beautiful. Um, it's really unsettling, and Willem Dafoe is like low key a demon in this. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love The Lighthouse. I think it's still underrated. Obviously, a lot of people like it, but I think it has quickly got looked over for great films in the last decade or so. But for my number five, I have another Robert Eggers film, Nosferatu from 2024. I've already seen this movie 6 times. Um, I love vampires. What can I say? And I think Nosferatu, this kind of retelling of the story, because obviously there's a couple films that came out many many years before, but I think Robert Eggers did a fantastic job. I think the casting is great. Once again, Bill Skarsgård on the list. I think what he did with the character is crazy. The voice he made. I love how he has the big mustache. Everything. The sound design is crazy. I just every time I watch it, I'm speechless. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Not even just of the past few years, just one of my favorite ever. So yeah, Robert Eggers, he's fantastic. I can't wait to see what he does next with his werewolf movie. But
That's one I'm gonna have to rewatch pretty soon, and I have it at a 3.5. Maybe it was where I was sitting that day. Don't ask, but it was not where I usually pick it. So that could definitely impact the rating. Yeah, Robert Eggers is definitely due, and I probably will watch one of his movies I haven't checked out before Halloween for horror month.
Mhm.
All right, number four, I have The Thing,
Mhm.
and it's just so engaging. Like the monster was like so freaky. You never knew when he was gonna pop up, and I think that was like such a cool aspect to it, and it inspired Among Us, like very iconic,
Yeah.
just excellent storytelling. When you get to the end of the movie, when it cuts to black, it's like wow, like just well crafted.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love The Thing. But my number four is another film by John Carpenter, who is one of my favorite. The original Halloween from 19. Um, it's perfect to me, 5 out of 5. It is my favorite slasher movie. I think, you know, I think it has held up so well, and I think unfortunately the Halloween franchise as a whole has. I think a lot of the sequels they did stink. Um, there's only a few of them that I really care to rewatch. Obviously, the original I watch a bunch. Um, I think Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic. I think just how brutal and mysterious Michael is in this film is the best Michael we've gotten. Once they start to give him a crazy backstory, kind of, ruins his motives a little bit. But I love this movie. John Carpenter, like I said, I think he's great. He um he did the um score for this movie as well. So the iconic Halloween score that everybody knows, he did that. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, I'm sure people give him a lot of. Yeah, I love the movie. Can't get enough of it.
One of the best posters ever too. Like
Mm,
just says all you need to know.
I love it. I want to get one from my basement. Like a big like 24 by 36 poster.
At number three, I have American Psycho, and Christian Bale just does it for me here. Like he's so unlikable, but that's what makes him like cool because he's so full of himself. I've never really seen a character in a film that like is so pretentious, and it's like really fun to watch when you rewatch it. At first it's like what the fuck, but like
It's a lot
he's a
on the
really
first watch.
he's a really demented dude, and I just love how the ending like solves nothing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
like back
empty.
to square one. Yeah, I feel like that's a movie. I mean, we'll probably do an episode on that down the line because I think that's a movie that you could have endless debates on. I think the whole how you interpret the movie, I think it's valid each way. Don't want to if no one's seen it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But that's a great. I honestly forgot about American Psycho. I can't lie to you, but that I might have added that to the list. That's a great movie.
I just love the edits of Pat Bateman because like he's such an animated dude despite
Mhm.
him being a piece of shit.
Him walking with the headphones on and how everybody like has memed that to put their own favorite song in. I love. It's one of my favorite memes. Um, but moving on, number three for me is another vampire film. As it stands today, it's probably my favorite. Is Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, that came out in 1992. Um, I don't think I've talked about this guy before, but Gary Oldman. I would probably say he's my second or third favorite actor of all time. He has endless performances that I love. He has been in two of my favorite franchises ever, being Harry Potter and The Dark Knights. But he has incredible work in obviously this movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Leon the Professional, True Romance, Fifth Element, even Kung Fu Panda 2 as the voice of the peacock. I forget the name though, sorry. But he's just great. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think my favorite role of him is as Dracula. I know he has said in a lot of interviews that he doesn't like what he did with the character, which I think is crazy, but you know, he's obviously the actor, so he has his own opinion, but I think he's the best Dracula we've ever gotten. I think Francis Ford Coppola is one of the best filmmakers ever, so obviously this film looks beautiful. I think Winona Ryder's great. You get Anthony Hopkins. Um, I think Keanu's solid in this. I know a lot of people don't like his performance, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions on Keanu's acting ability. Um, but I think he's really solid in this. You get a lot of great side characters and actors as well. You get like Richard E. Grant, who plays a little bit of a small role. You get Monica Bellucci. You get Carrie Elves. You get a lot of great actors in this. So I'm sure if you're a Dracula fan, you've seen this movie. I mean, it's pretty popular. But if for some reason you have not, please check it out. I think it's the best interpretation of Dracula there has ever been.
The only real Dracula movies that I've seen are like comedic, so I'm sure when I check it out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna have a blast because
I'm telling you, man. I think you're really gonna like. Even if you don't like it as much, obviously you being a very well, I mean, you are a filmmaker and you appreciate the way movies look a lot. This movie is beautiful. I think it's one of the best looking films ever.
another best looking film to me is A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I have at number two, and I think Freddy is just such an iconic character, and he's pretty funny because they've memed him, so it's like it's just freaky. His whole character is being a freak, like it's crazy, and he loves shit talking, and his powers are so cool, and you really didn't know how they're gonna make it out of it. Like that, that's the scary thing, and I think a lot of kids in the '80s went to bed hearing that Freddy song. So I'm sure they were frightened, and I definitely think this one has aged well. And you recently just did a list on your Nightmare on Elm Street ranked, so that was
Yeah.
pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I'm not as high on the first film as obviously Jathan is. I think it's still good. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5. It's just not my favorite. I think out of horror icons, I think he's definitely one of the best. But for my personal taste, there's like Dracula is more of my speed. Obviously, Pennywise I love. Michael Myers is probably my favorite slasher. So even in the slasher genre, he's not my favorite. But I understand why people love Freddy, and but I honestly think, and this is not just me hyping, I think conceptually, he's the most interesting villain because not being able to sleep, I mean, that's like the ultimate form of torture. And obviously, what Wes Craven did with the character when he created it is nothing had been done like that before. So I appreciate the Nightmare movies a lot. Even though a lot of them on my recent watch, like Jathan said, I didn't give the highest rate, but the first one I do like, and the first one is my
I need to check out New Nightmare.
New Nightmare is really interesting, really really interesting. A lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Uh, but I knew nothing about really the franchise at all, if I'm being honest. Um, Number two for me, Jathan already brought this film up before, but it is John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, I could talk about this thing forever. All the how this film has gone into pop culture today still. Obviously, Jathan brought up Among Us, but even just like murder mysteries in a lot of aspects. Like there's aspects of Knives Out and Glass Onion that take from this movie. You know, the practicality in this film is amazing. Obviously, John Carpenter. This was 2 years after he did Halloween. I think The Thing is even better than Halloween, and I have a poster of The Thing right. I can't show it on camera, but I have it right above my desk. It's one of the first films that I watched when I downloaded Letterbox that um, kind of changed my life in films. Um, since I saw the movie for the first time 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago. Since then, I think I've seen it 5 or 6 times, and one time I actually got to see it in theaters this summer in 70 millimeter film print, and it's flawless. Kurt Russell's great. It's just I don't know. I could go on and on about it. I don't want to yap too much, but it's just awesome. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Because 2 years ago, I didn't even know even what this film was, and in those 2 years, it has, it's in my top 10 horror films, and it's also in my personal top 10 films of all time. So take it from me, it's a great movie.
I'm pretty sure the reason I watched it is because I've always heard of this film called The Thing, and like I didn't know what it was, and I just kept hearing it over and over in YouTube, like Among Us, The Thing, The Thing, The
I
Thing,
I never
like
knew. The first time I heard about it was shout out Raiders of the Lost podcast. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've probably heard of them before. They're a great movie podcast. Um, they're actually from the Boston area, but they live in California now. But they did an episode on this a couple years ago, and I remember watching the episode and having to turn the episode off because obviously they started to get into spoilers, and I was like, I need to go watch it. Come back to their episode, and that's what I did. And since that day, it's um it's in my top 10 films of all time, so I love it. So it's a great movie.
and that brings us to number one, which I have is The Shining, and it is just such a unique aura to it. It has it's like you stumbled upon something that you weren't supposed to stumble upon, and that to me is a feeling that doesn't really get replicated too often in film. I've read the book, and here's my thoughts on it. I think both tell a very different story, but for what it does between the mediums, like how a film is made versus how a book is made, I will say I think The Shining is the better adaptation, as in the
The
movie.
movie. Mm.
I, the book is good, but it's
Hmm.
definitely more family focused, which
Hmm.
it's a great book. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Shining movie has the edge. So it's always been a weird debate for Stephen King because
Hmm.
it's very known that he didn't like the adaptation of the movie. So I never really agreed with him there. I don't know if you've read it.
I have not read the book. I didn't even know that you read it. When did you read it?
I read it during like eighth grade. I did a whole book report on it.
Damn, I didn't even know that. I do want to get to it eventually one day, but I will say I'm not itching to. But yeah, funny enough, my number one movie for my top 10 horror list is obviously The Shining as well. Um, but how you just mentioned the differences between the two. I'm actually right now, I don't even know if you knew this, but there's a mini series called Stephen King's The Shining, which is about altogether, if you watch it as a movie, it's a 4.5 hours long, and I'm about halfway through it right now. Um, and I think it's fine. I think it's good, but how you said it really focused on the family aspects, and it really deep dives into that. I think that kind of takes away from the greatness of the story, and I think what Stanley Kubrick did in changing the story up a little bit is a lot better. In terms of a movie, I don't want to credit Stephen King's writing, but you don't really know a lot of what's going on, but at the same time, you know everything you need to. I know the miniseries is more accurate to the book than what Stanley Kubrick did, but I think what Kubrick did is phenomenal. I think Jack Nicholson, who I know you're a big fan of, is amazing. It's my personal favorite performance of his. I know he has a lot of great ones, and a lot more that I have to still watch, but I think he's great. But I think the best part of the movie is Shelley Duvall, and R.I.P. to her. She passed away recently, but I think if you're someone that knows the history of this movie, she got treated, not the best on set. Obviously, Jack Nicholson at that point was I mean, he was an acclaimed movie star already. He was the guy Shelley Duvall, who was known, but I think the way that Stanley Kubrick treated her was not the best. You see it in the documentary. It kind of stinks. Especially because I'm a big fan of Kubrick, but he demanded excellence um, to the exact way he wanted, which for some people, I'm sure they'll look at that and think it's a good thing. For some people, I'm sure they look at it and think he was terrible. I think either way, there's no denying that he's one of the best filmmakers of all time, and you know, I'm pretty sure most people that are watching this have probably seen The Shining. It's one of the most iconic films ever. Um, the first time I actually watched it, and I might have mentioned this on the podcast before. I know I've definitely said it to you, Jathan. The first time I watched it was when I was flying back home from visiting you in San Diego, plane, and I mean I gave it a 5 star right off the bat. I think I just robbed myself of that first experience watching it on the plane. But I will say I was terrified because my plane wasn't that full, so I think I had the whole row to myself, and it was late night flight, and I was scared on the plane of the
Fuck.
film.
That's
So
scary.
yeah. So since then, but I've been rewatching it. I have multiple copies of it on physical media. I watch it every year, so and I'll be watching it uh, on Halloween night. So I can't wait. It's the best.
That movie, like, just so much to say about it, and we definitely could do an episode eventually about it. I think
Yeah.
that one for sure. It's just like I love the scene of Danny going down the hallway, and then those two girls pop up at the end of the hallway holding the hands. It's like if you're from New England, okay, like you will know about Six Flags, and like they have those haunted house mansions, and hey, some of them can get like pretty like condensed, like you're
Are you talking about the
parkouring through
Canopy ones,
shit.
Canopy Lake?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever went on the clown one in
Yeah, but
Canopy
that's not at
Lake
Six
or in
Flags.
where's
Well, I haven't been to Six Flags,
Screamfest.
sorry. Screamfest is at Canopy Lake.
Okay, my bad, but just so fun to like look at that and be like, wow, like the production design on that movie was insane. Like so much thought put into it. There's little hexagons on the floor that like are supposed to mean 666. Like you just
Yeah,
know you're not safe in that hotel.
yeah. I love it. Like I said, probably go on it. I could go on a tangent of this movie, but that's not what we're gonna do today. Just fun, first week October, introducing kind of the horror season. But our last segment is just kind of a mixed bag of things. Of you know, I put it on our rundown for me and Jathan. Is there any favorite Halloween costumes you wore as a kid? Your favorite candies? Any Halloween parties? Any haunted houses? Any other films you want to mention that didn't make your top? Just free range here.
All right, I think we should start with candy because
Hmm.
I think that was a big one back in the day.
Of course, yeah.
And anything with chips, obviously, we're not going for. So we can give that to little brother, like sitting in the back of the car. Like, did you walk when you went trick or treating, or did you drive?
No, I mean, my trick or treating as a kid was different because sometimes we would go to different neighborhoods. I know when I was friends with a kid when I was younger, he lived in the Robin Hood area, which my house is not near that. So I know I've been there a couple times. I've been to more of
I
the
spammed
Colonial Park.
Robin Hood.
I've been more to the Colonial Park area before, but mostly I was around my. So the only time I would drive is no. I always walked around as a kid, from house to house.
I would walk that whole Robin Hood area because that's
Yeah,
like
that's a good area too.
back then. That was when like the rich people lived there, bro. Like
Hmm.
I was getting paid on Halloween, but
Yeah.
I always had some heaters too. Like I would go pretty hardcore for Halloween. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I yeah, I trick or treating for me was always really big because sorry, me and my brother are close in age, so we would always go together, obviously, with my parents, and then a lot of times kids would just from my area, we would just all go. And I don't know, me and my brother just that was holidays that I think we always really loved because we were big fans of Star Wars back in the day and superheroes. So I know this kind of leads into the costume. Um, I've been Obi-Wan Kenobi before. I've been Boba Fett. I've been Captain Hook from Peter Pan. That's one of my favorite costumes. I've been a werewolf. I've been a half pirate, half skeleton. That was a really fun costume that my grandmother put together for me, and she like did the makeup for that because she was really good at making clothes and sewing and doing that type of stuff. Then as I got a little bit older, like I think my last two Halloweens, I dressed up as Odell Beckham Jr. and I put the like blonde hairspray in my hair, and then I did I think for my final dressing up as like a kid, I did Kyrie Irving, and
Bruh.
I had to. I think it was the first year he.
Uncle Drew.
No, I think it was the first year he was on Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then
Celtics
in high,
Kyrie was valid until he switched up.
yeah, and then but he was my favorite basketball player, and that's when I used to be a big basketball fan, and that's when I played. But in high school, I did a couple fun costumes with my friend. I know one year, because we did like duos, we did Men in Black, so I dressed up as obviously Will Smith in Men in Black. He dressed up as Tommy Lee Jones. Then I did Apollo Creed and Rocky with one of my friends before too. That was fun. And then I think junior year was kind of COVID for us. I didn't dress up then, and then I did this is kind of bad. I did Pablo Escobar our senior year. But yeah, I used to love dressing up as Halloween. I know there's one Halloween that you dressed, one costume that you did as a kid that you've shown me the picture of.
Yeah, and I think you're referring to Darth Maul.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay,
that's really cool.
that was fun. Um, yeah, I was dead ass just like a goblin that day. Um,
Yeah, he's a great character. Yeah, if you're seeing Jade on screen, yeah.
that was tough.
Is there any other
Um,
one notable ones you did?
yeah, I was Steve from Minecraft one year,
Of course you were. Of
and
course.
Pikachu,
I never dressed up as a Pokemon. I don't know why, because I used to love Pokemon. That's a good one.
Luigi.
Mm. I don't think I ever did a Mario character. I used to love them too. I
That was
never
when
did
I was
much
real
gaming.
little.
Yeah.
Um, you never played Mario on the Wii?
No, of course I did. I was just gonna say I don't think I ever dressed up as video game specific characters. Like
Uh,
I know obviously like Star Wars has video games, but I don't think I ever did like Pokemon or Minecraft or Mario. I never really did stuff like that.
I think it was
I wish I
either
did.
after I watched Scarface or Goodfellas in college. I decided to dress up as like a movie gangster.
That was a cool costume when you did that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean Halloween season has always been big in my life because my birthday is actually October 27th. So yeah, obviously Halloween's a couple days after my birthday. I remember, well, I don't remember it just from photos. Um, my mom dressed me up as a pumpkin 4 days after I was born, because obviously, like I just said, my birthday's close. So this
that's
season is,
tough.
yeah, this season has always been one of my favorites. A lot of my kid birthday parties, Do you remember Monster Mini Golf? That place? You
Of
ever go?
course, I had a
I,
birthday party there.
I did too. Yeah, I was.
My 8th birthday.
I think mine was. Gosh, uh, maybe my seventh or eighth, or probably around the same time you said yours. But
That's funny.
yeah, for the episode that's closest to Halloween for us dropping, uh, I'll be wearing something for that episode. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to that. Nothing crazy, just have some fun. But um, let's see. I don't know if
I
there's
plan
any.
on wearing something myself.
Okay, good, good. Um, we touched on this a little bit before, but is there any maybe Halloween parties, even as a kid? It doesn't have to be like college. Any parties that you liked as a kid, or maybe any as a kid that you really are just memorable to you?
Hmm. I didn't really do too many parties like when I was a kid, but like I don't think I like really dressed up in middle school.
Mm.
I want to say I didn't have a costume. I don't know why.
I think my last
When
Halloween.
you're that age, like you're, it's such a weird period because you don't know like I don't know. You're trying to be cool in that age, and it's like you're actually lame.
Yeah, I think my last Halloween might have been eighth grade,
8th grade,
maybe because my last two or three Halloweens I
like the
did at one.
holiday, or like just going out and like
No,
doing something on
in terms of
Halloween.
going out, like
Okay.
going out to get candy, because one of my friends, the last like 2 or 3 years that I would go out, I would go to his house in his neighborhood, which is not near, but he has a younger brother that I'm really close with, so, and he's 7 or 8 years younger than me, so we would always like see him do his stuff, but we're still kids too. We were only like 13 years old, 14 years old, so we would get some candy too, but I mean, we wouldn't take it too serious, but it was more so like being with his younger brother and just having fun. So I trick or treated as long as I could till I felt like it was appropriate. I think my last one was eighth grade, honestly, where I actually like put on a costume and got some candy, which I know for some kids they think they're too cool for it then, like you kind of said. Which I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I've always enjoyed the holiday, so
You can do what you want. Like go
yeah.
to a costume party like that. Those are big in college. I don't know how it is anywhere else, but just like enjoy it. Watch a movie.
Yeah. Um, I know for Haunted House, I went to Scream Fest, and
Yep.
that was horrifying. I wanted to always go, but like I said, I was a scaredy cat. I never liked horror movies. I was scared to watch them, and I was certainly scared of. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but I think in August, Canopy Lake Park would kind of showcase, um, do like a little preview of Scream Fest. And if you stayed late in the summer, they would have them come out and do like a mini parade. I don't know if you remember that, but as a kid, my grandmother would always take us in August, and they would do that stupid parade at the end of the night, and I would always get so scared.
I don't remember that, but I
It
do
was,
remember Screamfest being pretty fucking fun. I remember seeing Jalen Brown, Terry Rozier one day, and that was crazy. That was back when Jalen Brown had a flat top.
yeah. I would say Screamfest was one of the first times me and you had really hung out outside of school too, because we were talking about it a few weeks ago. I remember one time, because your group of friends, I was all friends with, but I wouldn't say I hung out with them a lot outside of school. But I remember that one night I broke off from the group I was with because they were being really annoying and just kind of like being dumb kids and weren't really actually like, enjoying the rides and enjoying the hunt, doing like stupid middle school or actually it was early high school stuff. So I remember I met up with you guys and had a blast. I remember that was one of the most fun nights I had at Screamfest. It was probably my funnest one.
that group was pretty funny
We
back
had a good
then.
time. We
Yeah,
had a good time. I remember that night pretty vividly.
good times. Yeah. As for parties, I don't know. I think I really started staying in honestly, like recently, and I still find ways to like scare myself. So it's like I'm still in the spirit.
Yeah. I always liked the school Halloween parties. I'm sure your elementary school did it, but I really liked those
Yeah,
where they would like bring you in the gym and have like DJs and games and candy and stuff. That I always really liked those. Those were super fun.
the Dr. Seuss parties.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, I think I my school was always really fun about that.
I don't think I
But
went to your school at all, like as a kid, for whatever reason.
well, technically you've been in it because of the middle school combined.
Yeah, true.
I remember the first couple weeks of middle school because for some reason my fifth grade class there wasn't a lot of kids from Central School. I was one of the only ones in my class, and I remember showing a lot because they had never been obviously in that elementary school before. So yeah, this is making me just go back down memory lane, honestly, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's fun. It's fun sometimes, but um, before we cut this off, obviously, like we said, this is a little bit shorter, more lighthearted, fun episode. Is there any other horror films you wanted to mention, or maybe any TV Halloween specials, maybe from a kid that you want to bring up?
Definitely The Simpsons and their Halloween special.
Mm,
Um, those were pretty like artistically made because everyone is like different, right? Like it's a series, it's an anthology, but I just loved. I love watching basketball on Halloween. That was pretty fun.
mm,
My dad was big on like making sure I watched like 80s horror movies. So I remember like a lot of my introductions to characters like Freddy and the xenomorphs from Alien and like the Predator. Jason Voorhees is from like playing Mortal Kombat with him.
mm. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I used to always love the Disney Halloween specials and like crossover episodes they would have. Um, but some more horror films that I just wanted to mention is like The Exorcist, which is pretty new to me because I was always scared to watch it, but I think it's a really excellent film, and I can't wait to rewatch this this month, this coming October, because I think it's super iconic. Um, Both of me and Jathan, if you know our letterboxes or know the kind of films we love, Alfred Hitchcock is a filmmaker we both really enjoy. I would say probably Jathan a little bit. You've really taken a dive into some of his work, and you have a lot of his films very highly rated. But Psycho, I think is a really good film. I think
That
it's
was gonna be on my honorable mentions.
yeah, it's one of the most iconic films ever. Not even just in the horror genre. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, I'm sure most people have seen it. The slasher genre for me is probably one of my favorite horror subgenres. I love stuff like Scream. Um, Even some of the newer stuff like X, by what's his name? What's his name? Ty West. I think that movie's really fun. Um, I'm just looking at the letterbox most popular right now. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's my
Yep,
honorable mention. That almost made my list. Um, I can't wait to rewatch it this year. That movie is. I feel like you can smell that movie, and if you've seen it, you know exactly what I mean. Pure craziness.
I need to watch Suspiria at some point this
Me too.
month
Yeah.
because that has been on my watch list for far too long. Italian film, Dario Argento, legendary
Yeah.
filmmaker. Haven't seen any of his films, and I think that's going to be really fun. Um, I'm looking at my watch list now. Let's see. Bram Stoker's Dracula, I'm going to get to, which you gave me
Mm-hmm.
Blu-ray. Um, The Devil by Andrzej Zalewski,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which he's the director of Possession as well, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and I need to see it.
Yeah. I'm not a big zombie guy. I really don't like zombie movies, but the one that I do love is Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero. I think it's so iconic, so fantastic. I actually recently bought it on the Criterion sale in July, so I'm definitely overdue for a rewatch. That's just a classic. I'm sure most people have heard of it and seen it, but yeah, that's about all I've got for this episode. Like I said, it's a little bit shorter. I apologize if you guys wanted a little bit of a, you know, the time zone between me and Jathan, both of our working schedules, our school schedules, and we just recorded before this, so we're a little bit gassed here, but you know, we're making it work.
Let us know what horror movies we should check out. We're always looking for something new to watch. I think this month just needs to hit us right in the face, Nick, and I'm pretty sure your man Drake would agree with you that October is one hell of a month.